Back in February 2024, just a few weeks after the LEGO Group and Epic Games unveiled the fruit of their long-term collaboration, we saw the arrival of LEGO Wands and Fortnite. Small play experiences made inside of unrelated Fortnite intended to inspire developers when, 1 month later, LEGO bricks would become available to every game maker on the platform. While a great move by the company, one of the things that's always annoyed me about these is the lack of credit. All are attributed to the LEGO Group, not the actual team behind them. Sure, you could spend hours searching on LinkedIn and developer portfolios to identify most of them, but some still remain unknown even to this day. That isn't the case though for Sublab Games. With a background steeped in the LEGO brick and a recurring pattern of attempting to make game development accessible to all, the small indie company out of Denmark had the chance to make one of the first of these LEGO Wands, which would go on to be the most popular one of all time. However, they would just a year later see that island be deleted off the platform with no warning or even explanation as to why. But they then had the opportunity to prevent it from happening again by reclaiming LEGO Toy Factory Tycoon, preventing it from becoming lost media. Now they're continuing to create LEGO Wands in Fortnite, most notably the Ninjago-inspired Ninja Sushi Chaos, which released just a few weeks ago. Recently, I got the chance to talk to Mads Purup, a partner at the company who has pretty much spent his entire life brick building both physically and digitally. Not only was I able to hear about his personal game development journey, but I also got to learn a ton about the making of all these experiences throughout the years.
My name's Mads, and I'm a partner in Sublab Games, and I do a bit of everything, really. I do coding and graphics and ideas and try to run the studio at the same time. So
that's usually how it is with small companies. You just kind of end up doing pretty much everything.
Exactly. And it's actually also what I really enjoy. So I guess that really works well for me. Like, it's hard to not be involved in the coding and hard to not be involved in the graphics and stuff. I like to do it all.
Yeah, instead of just being limited to just one small part of a project and not being involved with everything else, yeah.
Exactly. And I think it's also one of the benefits of being a small studio that everybody gets to be involved in the whole project. Everybody has a big responsibility of making things work.
So before talking about all the stuff with LEGO,
yeah,
I'd be curious to know about how you got your start in game development.
Well, I think really it was, I've always had a passion for playing computer games. So growing up, really, I thought, I'm going to do something with computers one day. But I also thought when I grow up, I want to become a LEGO designer. And that actually happened. So I worked as a model builder for LEGO for a while. And then that just transitioned into being more digital stuff. I was working then for a product called LEGO Mindstorms, which is all about sort of like LEGO Technic, but with robotics and stuff so that you can program your LEGO models to do cool things. And then it just kind of moved on from there and became more digital. So I guess I got both my wishes came true somehow. I wanted to be a LEGO model designer, but I also wanted to do computer games, and so bam.
Yeah, you got to do both physical and digital LEGO building.
Yeah, exactly. And many of the projects I've been working on for LEGO has been about merging physical play with digital play, that sort of weird space in between.
Would you say that you still do use some physical building in conceptualizing the more recent stuff?
Absolutely. I think it's essential to us to always have the physical LEGO in mind when we design a LEGO game. I think that's part of what makes it feel LEGO, that you can see from the models that are in the game that they are actually made out of LEGO. No cheating. They could actually be made with LEGO bricks. So when doing that, not only do we keep the physical LEGO bricks in mind and the property of physical LEGO bricks, but we actually have physical LEGO bricks, and we built some of the models, not all of the models, but we built, whatever time allows, and then we will build some of the models in real life. Like, for instance, for Raft Survival, we built every single model out of actual LEGO brick, including the big pirate ship, which is super cool, actually.
Do you still have the pirate ship?
Yes, we do. Yeah. The only one in existence. Yeah, that's my pride and joy. That's a nice model with all the props and all the cool stuff that happened. I don't know if you ever went below deck in Raft Survival, but you could actually go below deck, and there was little things happening down there. There was rats, and there was pirates carrying cannonballs around and stuff like this, and all that is in the physical model.
Yeah, I did actually explore a little bit of the ship, but that's one of the funniest, recurring aspect in all the developers behind LEGO games. They always have their office completely, swamped in LEGO sets.
Yes.
It's every time, it's always the same.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about doing a LEGO game, is that there's this physical aspect to it. I think it's a constraint, but it's a really nice constraint that I like. It somehow makes the game more tangible.
Now, prior to, these later things, you did work on LEGO WeDo, WeDo and LEGO Universe. Can you describe what you did there?
Yeah, so I was working on Mindstorms, and then Lego had this idea that we should do something like Mindstorms, but less complicated and down in age, and that's really what WeDo was, with education in mind. So for Lego WeDo, I was involved in the concept development, and then more concretely, with my background in model design, I also built all of the models in WeDo, all of the little cute creatures, and so I built those. And then I also, because I like to get my fingers in everything, like I also designed the graphics and the programming environment, how it works, but also how it looks. It's really involved in all aspects of that project. It's a very cool project. I'm very proud I was part of that. It was a super cool team doing that project. And then LEGO Universe was just right after that. So that was a purely digital project. LEGO Universe was a massive multiplayer online game, which was popular at the time. And so there was the whole, going on missions and following the storyline of LEGO Universe. But there was also another part of LEGO Universe where you would get your own, we call them properties, which was basically your own little planet chunk floating in the universe, where you would get to build whatever you wanted. You could build it there. So you would collect bricks throughout the game, and then you would fly to your property, and you could create whatever you could imagine out of Lego bricks. And you could even program it to do whatever you want. And doing so, you could actually create small games. So again, it's somehow very close to all the stuff that I've been involved in since, basically allowing inspiring game creators to make game experiences with Lego.
Yeah. Speaking on Sublab Games, how did you meet Brian Bunch Christensen?
Oh, that goes all the way back to college, or gymnasium, we call it in Denmark. We met there, and we built a small game together called Tank Trouble. It actually still runs today. It's a small desktop-only multiplayer game, and we built that together and maintained it together. And even after we left college, we stayed in touch and met up once in a while, sometimes with years in between, and would develop this game together still. And that's how we met.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually played a little bit of it today.
Yeah.
Also before. Yeah, it's a bit weird playing a Flash game in 2026.
Yeah, it was. It's not Flash anymore though, but it was Flash when we started out, and I think it still feels like it might, but it's not Flash though. We changed it from Flash to HTML5. That's when it went online. So when it was Flash, it was not online. You would simply just play with your friends on the same keyboard. Now, of course, you can play online with online players.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a bit of a blast to the past, pretty much.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but that is our first game together, so it's kind of our legacy, but it's like a living legacy kind of thing. It still has quite a few players playing it.
Yeah, it's impressive that it's like still playable to this day, like so many years later.
Yeah. I wish we had more time, and then we would definitely like to give it some love and care and some updates. But we have just been really busy with all these other cool projects.
So when did Sublab Games actually become like a real company?
So I think that's about 6 years ago, if I remember correctly. And we were approached by Lego, whom I have at that time, I've worked for them many times before. And then they were asking us if we could help them make some prototypes for games. And that was an easy answer. That was an easy yes. And so basically we just quit our other daytime jobs and whatever else we were doing. And then we formed Sublab. And that's when you asked about the Unity microgame, and we talked a little bit about those tools before. And that's when we started working on the microgame and those tools, that whole set of tools that are behind the microgame.
Can you describe, because we've talked a little bit about the microgame, but can you describe what the Unity packages thing actually is?
The Unity packages was like, it's a set of tools that allows anyone really, inspiring game creators to professional game makers, to built Lego games. So the idea was in the Unity packages to standardize some things and make a lot of things easier. Like for instance, if you're making a Lego game, you're probably gonna want a Lego minifig running around, and a Lego minifig has to look a certain way and run a certain way, and there's a lot of things that comes with a minifig. And so rather than having everybody model and rig and animate and all that stuff, we would make a minifig package that you could then use to create your own Lego game with a minifig in it very easily. So if you install the Lego minifigure package, for instance, in Unity in your project, you could make a Lego game with a minifig very easily, you know. And maybe you also want, because you're making a Lego game, maybe you want some Lego models in your game. And so you could build these models maybe in Studio, and then you can import those into Unity. And you can do that with one of the packages also. You can basically have any digital Lego model, and you can import it directly into Unity, and you can then process that model so that it, you know, performs well, or, you know, you can merge into one big mesh so that it performs better, or you can separate it into bricks. You can even change the bricks and the colors of the bricks inside Unity with these packages. All in all, the packages are basically a big set of tools that allows inspiring game creators and professional Lego game creators to make Lego games faster and easier.
It's funny, I know we're still in the Unity section,
yeah,
but all these different like abilities you're talking about reminds me a lot of Unreal Editor for Fortnite and what they've been adding in terms of the Lego elements, the ability to glue them together, optimize them.
Oh yeah,
it seems very, very much inspired by that.
Indeed. I this is basically what came before this. These packages many of them were prototypes, right? So it's all about empowering creators to create, basically.
What about the microgame? How did that expand from the packages?
If I remember correctly, I think Unity wanted Lego to do a tutorial on top of all of these packages. So the microgame is just a wrapping of all of these packages that sort of tutorializes these packages. I mean, these packages are professional tools. They can be hard to use if you don't know what Unity is about, if you don't know programming and stuff. So the tutorial was kind of like an easy way for everyone to get started with the packages, and it would also like ease you into programming with something we came up with, which was like buildable programming bricks, you could say. We called them behavior bricks. So basically they were little 2x2 Lego bricks, and they had a behavior built into them. So for instance, we had the rotator brick and we had the elevator brick, and if you then took one of these bricks and added it on top of your model, it would behave as an elevator. It would go up and down, and you could then adjust like how high should it go and how fast should it go and all of this stuff. And then if you added the rotational brick, you would have something that rotated, or, you know, if you added them both, you would have a rotating elevator. And then we had a whole collection of all these behavior bricks. That was really what that tutorial was about, like kind of getting, you know, amateurs, inspiring game developers into easing them into Unity, you know, allowing them to create something of their own.
Yeah, basically making it so that they don't actually have to really learn how to code. They can just start with these basic bricks and go from there.
Exactly. You know, they could create something relatively cool just by simply stacking Lego bricks and combining these different behavior bricks. They could create something really cool.
So fast forward to 2024, and Sublab Games is now working on one of the very first Lego islands within Fortnite.
Oh yeah.
How did that happen?
Oh, that's a classified story, actually. What I can say though is that we were at a game jam, and we won this game jam, and that's about as much as I can say. But then after that, Lego won it. Like, Lego saw the little game that came out of that game jam, and they wanted us to make that, and for that to become one of the first games on the platform, and that was Raft Survival.
After launching LEGO Raft Survival to one of the, I believe, second largest player count for one of the LEGO islands, that is the official islands, which it still holds, which is really impressive. Congrats on that, by the way.
Thanks.
It got a bunch of updates, most notably a Kraken boss fight, but also some smaller quality of life improvements.
Yeah. I love the Kraken.
Were the updates planned before launching, or did it come from player feedback?
No, I would say they were definitely not planned planned. They came from player feedback and just simply from playing the game. I mean, the game was done very quickly. It was, as I said, basically a 2-day game jam. So the prototype was developed in 2 days, and then after that we built the game in about 2 months, I think. And so there wasn't really time to think, beyond launch. And this was one of the first Lego games. If it wasn't the first Lego game on Fortnite, no, we were very busy. We did not have time to plan for updates. But players were asking for some kind of different level, a boss fight, a boss level. So that's how the Kraken came to be. Personally, I just love the Kraken because it's made of Duplo bricks, and traditionally Lego bricks and Duplo bricks are not allowed to be in the same world. And so we thought it was so cool that, imagining you're in a bathtub with your pirate ship and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, your kid brother's Duplo, forms a Kraken and starts attacking you. That's kind of where the idea came from, Duplo's in the bathtub.
Yeah, I think the only time I've seen Duplo and the regular bricks interact is in the Lego Movie 2.
Exactly.
Where the Duplo bricks were kind of antagonists to the system bricks.
Yeah. So we did kind of like the same thing. Yeah. We had to get that cleared with Lego as well.
Just a month after Raft Survival launched, Lego elements were added to UEFN, and now everybody was able to make their stuff without having to be involved directly with Lego.
Yeah.
And in fact, you took part in that with Carpet Wars. I was curious to know how development on that one went, and if it was in any way different than Lego Raft Survival, especially in terms of the tools.
Right. So because we spent so long, it felt like a long time. It wasn't actually very long in game development. I think the Raft Survival, spending a couple of months on that, but it felt like a long time, and it felt like we thought, can we do this faster somehow? So we challenged ourselves. How much game can we build in just 3 days? And so it's actually built by only myself and Brian, and we went through a summer house, a vacation house, and we spent 3 days making Carpet Wars. So it was kind of an experiment to see how fast we could make a Lego game.
Were the tools in UEFN the same that you already had access to, or were there differences?
When we built Raft Survival, clearly there are custom Lego models. I mean, like the pirate ship and the rafts, and everything is custom Lego built. We built all of those models and imported them with special access tools in UEFN that allows you to import Lego models into your UEFN game. But with the Carpet Wars being that was our game, that wasn't a game that Lego owned, we built Carpet Wars exactly like anyone else could have built Carpet Wars. So we were not able to make custom Lego models for Carpet Wars. So Carpet Wars is made with all the standard Lego assets that were available at the time.
Yeah, because they only added brick building way later, almost a year afterwards.
Yeah.
Before you had to just use existing models, I think.
Yes, exactly. But even then, after brick editing, which I think came almost a year ago, I think. But after brick editing, you can you can build your own custom Lego models, which is super cool. But there's a very limited set of Lego bricks to choose from. I think there's 73 or so right now. And of course, you cannot build something like the pirate ship from Raft Survival from those 73 bricks. The Raft Survival game did require importing custom Lego models, which was only available to us because it's Lego's game. We don't own that game.
Just a few months later, you actually released Lego Toy Factory Tycoon, which served as a showcase of a bunch of new features like offline progression and daily rewards.
Yes.
How did development on that one go?
I mean, Toy Factory Tycoon wasn't really a game to begin with. It was a template. It was like a Toy Factory template showcasing all these new features that you just mentioned. And that template is still available. You can go in and make a Toy Factory game from this template. But when we did the template, I had a discussion with Lego saying that I really think building a template is super cool, but you need to also show the creators out there, what kind of game you can make with this. We need to showcase that it can actually be used to make a game. And Lego thought that was a good idea. So that's how we decided to actually build Toy Factory again together with Lego. So it started as a template and then it became the Toy Factory Tycoon game, as you know.
Yeah, the game side of thing was definitely very good for showcasing all the different mechanics and stuff. It feels weird to think about the template launching without the game to showcase them.
Yeah, I would think so. It makes a whole lot more sense when you actually see the game. And then hopefully when people played the Toy Factory Tycoon game, it inspired some to open up the template and start creating their own Tycoon type game.
Now going going on to 2025, early in the year, a bunch of LEGO islands were just removed from Fortnite, including Raft Survival.
Yeah.
With there never being really a reason as to why, beyond just, well, we're gonna deprecate them. Did you have like any heads up that this was gonna happen?
No, I mean, we're an independent company, so I only have so much insight. I don't know what happened, you know. And if you find out, I would be pleased to know. Yeah, I don't know why they decided to remove those games. I thought there was some great games that just somehow disappeared overnight.
Yeah, I've never been able to find the reason why. My personal theory is that the player counts are just too low for them to keep updating them, and there has been cases where updates to just Fortnite as a whole caused them to break.
Yeah.
And they just maybe don't want to support those, but there's no official explanation.
I think that sounds very plausible what you're saying, and it is true that when Fortnite updates, it sometimes breaks games, unfortunately, and then the creator will have to go and spend time and effort, you know, trying to fix the games. And if the numbers are not good, then I guess that's not worth it.
What was your initial reaction when you discovered this?
Oh, because I really put a lot of effort and love into Raft Survival, and actually for some odd reason the numbers were starting to pick up a little bit on Raft Survival again. So I was sad to see it go, and I would love to bring it back.
Fast forward to the end of last year as well, and it seemed like LEGO Toy Factory Tycoon had the exact same thing happen to it, but no, it actually was now under Sublab Games creator account. How did this happen?
Yeah, that was surprising to me as well. A pleasant surprise. LEGO asked us if we wanted to take ownership of the game. And to what you just said before with, you know, Fortnite updates breaking games, and, you know, if the numbers are not like super impressive and stuff, and then maybe it's too difficult or not worth it to fix those things. So I think by giving it to us, we take ownership and responsibility for it, and it's in our best interest to keep it alive. But that was a pleasant surprise.
I find it weird that LEGO was the one to reach out to you. I had expected that LEGO had told you that it was going to be removed and that you had offered, because why wouldn't they offer the same thing for Raft Survival? Just feels weird.
I should ask LEGO that, or maybe you should ask LEGO that. I would love to bring Raft Survival back, and if that means taking ownership of it, I'm happy to do that as well.
I've tried reaching out a couple times.
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't really respond much.
Okay. Yeah, probably busy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that wasn't a deal. It was like, do you want Toy Factory? And that was like a no-brainer. Yeah, sure. But we weren't asked about Raft.
If you were able to actually get LEGO Raft Survival back,
yeah,
what would your plans be?
What would our plans be? I mean, we would have to assess it's an old project, right? It was done in the very early days of UEFN, and we would have to assess the project and brush it off. But I think definitely we would want to make an update to that game. I haven't actually thought about what exactly that update would be. We had a bunch of ideas back then, so, you know, maybe we'd go back in the old backlog and see if there's some gold nuggets there.
And if you had a message, like if LEGO was watching this,
yeah, which I hope they are.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if they will. Maybe just, you know, the lawyers to verify that, you know, you haven't leaked anything. What would you say to them?
I would say give us back Raft Survival so that we can give it back to the players.
Going back to Toy Factory Tycoon, are there any future plans for that experience as well?
We have planned an update, but we're a little bit busy with other projects, so we'll see. There might be a small update coming soon.
Speaking of other projects, you recently launched Sushi Chaos, which uses recently added Ninjago assets. So when did you start working on the island? Was it close to when the assets were added?
We started working on Sushi Chaos in late January, I think. So I think that's actually a while after the Ninjago assets been out.
How long did development overall take?
So we started working on it in late January, and then we finished just now. I mean, we've been pretty busy on that project. I think we underestimated it a little bit and overscoped it. Yeah.
The gameplay reminds me a lot of the viral Roblox game Still a Brain Rot, which actually was licensed for use in Fortnite just a few months after launch. How much inspiration did you take from that or similar games?
Obviously, we've played those games, and we are inspired by all of these games, and I think there's some really fun mechanics in those games. So obviously, it's inspired by that. But it's also kind of, we wanted it to do something that was a bit like a Toy Factory Tycoon. We really kind of set out to build a tycoon kind of game, but multiplayer and with a little bit of PvP. And then I guess that's just where it ended up, you know. So that's why we reused the old factory line from Toy Factory Tycoon. You know, it's in there with the sushi on top of it and all.
Can we get any hints of any future updates you have planned for it?
Well, I think if you've collected all the sushi, which I think that will be hard though, if you've collected all the crazy rare sushi by now, because there's a lot of hidden sushi in there. But if you somehow manage to collect them all, then with the next update, let's just say there might be some new ones to be found and discovered and collected.
Interesting. What about other projects beyond LEGO? Can you share anything there, or is it just all under NDA?
Yeah, that's the thing with these kind of projects. They're kind of under NDA, at least at the time. We are working on a non-LEGO project that we are going to release, I think, in about 2 weeks' time. So that's exciting for us. But unfortunately, I can't really say anything about this other than we're releasing it in about 2 weeks' time. So we're just putting our last work on it now.
Nice. Good luck on that.
Well, thanks. I'm sorry I can't share more.
Yeah, no worries. And finally, if anyone was thinking about getting into developing their own games or even their own island within Fortnite, what advice would you have for them?
I think having an idea, just a small idea maybe to start with, like having a small idea and just set out to do that very specific thing. That's how I got started myself in game. I wanted to do something and then I just learned how to do that one thing. And then along that way, I got more and bigger ideas and stuff. It's hard to just sit down and learn UEF, and you kind of have to have an idea in a project. I think a good way to start is you could take a template, take something like the Toy Factory Tycoon template, and then you can just launch it because it's already a working game. And then you can find something to tweak, you know, something that you feel like you want it to be different. Like you want a different kind of toy to run out of the factory line, or you want the factory line to run twice the speed, or, you know, and you just start to mod and tweak the game. I think that's a good place to start.
And that's all I have to ask. Thanks so much for agreeing to do this interview.
Well, you're most welcome. It's good fun.
And also sorry for going like 15 minutes over time. I just noticed.
No worries at all. This was really nice talking to you. I would be happy to do this again if we have another project that you want to talk about in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great to do. It's been really fun talking about the entire history and how it's always been a combination of like the physical and the digital LEGO building, but also at the same time making game development accessible to everybody, whether it's in Unity or Unreal or even with Mindstorm, which had some light programming to it, I think.
Exactly. You're spot on. It's fun to hear someone else that I only just met kind of sum up everything I've kind of done that way. That was very spot on.
I highly recommend trying out all of Sublab Games' titles, especially their most recent launch into Sushi Chaos, most of which will be linked in the description. I'll also be sure to add a link to the upcoming project Mads teased once it gets revealed. If you enjoyed this video, please do let me know in the comments. This is very different than my usual content, and I'd really appreciate any feedback you have, as I do intend on making more of these in the near future with not just developers, but also modders, speedrunners, and fellow content creators. And if you'd like to support my work, consider becoming a member using the link in the description. By doing so, you won't just help make these more experimental projects possible, but you'll also receive perks like early previews for upcoming content, as well as your name featured at the end of these longer videos.